What is going on, guys? Money Webby here, back again. Week 16, my favorite NFL DraftKings picks for the week. Ended up with a very good week last week, except a few calls here and there, like Doug Baldwin. He laid an egg last week, but we had some really good calls. Cam Newton had a great week. We had Nick Foles there, Rob Gronkowski. But that Doug Baldwin pick really screwed me over. But for the most part, most of our plays did very well. I actually tweeted out a lineup on my Twitter that scored 167 drafting points, and that cashed very nicely. So it was a good week for us last week. Hopefully we can carry that over into this week. I got 3 or 4 players around there at every position that I'm very high on that I love this week that you should definitely consider in your lineup. So go ahead and drop a like in the video if you're ready to go. We got the holidays coming up and some football, so it's a great time of the year to be alive. So drop a like in the video. Let's try to get over 150 likes on this one. If we can do that, I greatly appreciate it. It really helps me out in these videos so I can keep them coming for you guys every single week. The NFL season is winding down, but there's still time to make some money here. So we got some great plays for you. And definitely subscribe if you haven't already as well to get these videos every single week. I do NBA DraftKings picks every single day as well if you play that. So you can definitely check those out. I get my favorite plays every single day. So let's just kick it off with quarterback now. Starting off, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson at the top at 7,000, going against Dallas here. I think this sets up as a great bounce back game for Wilson. He struggled a lot against the Rams last week. They were getting a ton of pressure on him. I think this is a good week, though, for Wilson. Normally, when he has a bad week, he bounces back. Like, if you look at your game log here, he had 19 against Arizona. In these divisional games, he really seems to struggle. Then he bounced back against Atlanta there. He got 32 DraftKings points, and then he got like 12 against the Rams in a similar game. Really struggled there. Bounced back against the Giants with 29 DraftKings points. So he's getting the rushing yards every single week. Great for his floor, but his upside is going to be there against this weak Dallas secondary at 7,000. This is a huge game for the Seahawks here to try to get in the playoffs. So I love Russell Wilson here. Normally he's lights out in December, so I think this is a big week here. I think last year on December 24th, he had like 4 touchdowns or something like that, so maybe he can do it again here. So Russell Wilson. Then I'm going to go with Cam Newton, another guy at the top going against Tampa Bay. I mentioned the rushing ability of Russell Wilson. The same thing with Cam Newton, just getting a ton of rushing yards, a ton of attempts. 14 last game against the Packers, good for 58 yards. And it seems like he's finally healthy. Like, his arm looks great. He had some great precision passes against the Packers last week. The guys like Greg Olsen, who looks finally back. Devin Funchess is kind of banged up, which kind of sucks. But this Tampa Bay secondary is very bad, and their defense is banged up in general. So Cam Newton should have a great game here, get some touchdowns, and get that rushing yards as well. So Cam Newton, another great play there. And for a cheaper guy I'm on is going to be Jared Goff at 6,100, going against another bad secondary in the Titans. And also on top of that, to make matters worse for this Titans defense, they got Logan Ryan, questionable, didn't even get 1 practice in this whole entire week, I believe. So it's a great matchup here for Jared Goff. You just got to hope that the Titans can kind of keep up in this game, because against Seattle, they blew the doors off against them, and they won 42-7. So he only had 21 attempts in that game, still threw 2 touchdowns. So he's been safe with the touchdowns, but it's just a matter or not if he can get some more yards. Like, when he's getting over 200 yards, he got 120 yards last week. So I think this is going to be more of like a passing game for this Rams offense. The Titans running defense is pretty solid, so the way you attack them is through the air. So Jared Goff should go back to the like 200+ yards ability, and he's been getting the touchdowns nearly every single week. So this is a good spot for him. He's had some big games against the Giants and Houston. He went back-to-back around 30 DraftKings points. So that kind of shows the upside he has, and he gets his full weapons back. With Robert Woods back last week, they have a ton of guys to throw to in this matchup. So Jared Goff, another great quarterback to target. So those are my 3 quarterbacks really that I'm looking at. You got Jared Goff, Cam Newton, and then Russell Wilson at the top. So for the most part, I'm trying to pay up for quarterback to get that safety in my lineup. A lot of these guys are kind of up and down. They really don't have that same upside as the guys I just mentioned. So those are the 3 I'm definitely looking at for some safe, great cash game options with some good upside as well. Like I said, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, those guys can have huge weeks. So definitely consider those guys at quarterback. Let's look at running back now. So at running back at the top, I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara at 8,300. This guy is a beast. He's like Barry Sanders 2.0. I love watching him here. Going against Atlanta, a pretty good matchup. Not like great, but the way this game is setting up, like the pace of this game and the game flow. I think Alvin Kamara is going to be very active in this game, especially with the breaking news of Michael Thomas being questionable with a groin or hamstring injury. So he might not even play. And if he does play, it sounds like he'll be less than 100%. So Alvin Kamara could even be more active in the receiving game, if that is possible, as a running back. So he's getting around like 5 or 6 catches every single week. And against Atlanta, I think that he only played one drive. He actually got a concussion in that first drive and he was knocked out for the rest of the game. So 3 catches and 25 yards. If you can do that in one drive, I mean, imagine what he can do the whole entire game here. It should be a fast-paced game, like I was saying, against Atlanta in the Dome here. It sets up good for Alvin Kamara, and the over-under 52.5, the highest over-under of the slate. So they're expecting a lot of points per Vegas. I mean, they get paid a lot of money to figure that stuff out. I expect it to be pretty high scoring. I think it's going to be around like high 40s total. Atlanta and New Orleans are kind of underrated defensive teams, like pretty damn good. In New Orleans, though, they are banged up, though, so that could help out Alvin Kamara in this game here. 8,300. I think will be good for over 20 DraftKings points. He's been pretty damn consistent besides that game where he got knocked out against Atlanta, like over 20 DraftKings points since week 9. So I think we'll make it another here. Going against Atlanta, the game flow wasn't even good for him last week, and he still dropped a nice 20 bomb on the Jets. Nice game here for Alvin Kamara in the Dome. Show off that speed. I love him there. Then for my second guy, another very active guy in the receiving game, Christian McCaffrey, going against Tampa Bay, a team that struggles against running backs in general, like rushing the ball. It's pretty damn easy to do it against Tampa Bay. They're pretty banged up. Gerald McCoy might not even play this game, and he's their best run stopper by far, and also their linebackers aren't that great. So McCaffrey could have a huge game here in the receiving game and rushing the ball. He's been rushing the ball a lot better as of late. 63 yards last game. He had 63 against the Jets on the ground. So combining that ability with his receiving ability, it could be another big game here for Christian McCaffrey. So a guy, you could honestly pair him with Cam Newton just because he is like almost like a slot wide receiver for that team. So another great option there, Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara. Then for my third guy, we're going to go with CJ Anderson here at 5,500. This guy has become the workhorse that I was looking for throughout the whole entire year. Like the first 3 weeks, they give him a ton of work. He gets a ton of snaps. He gets 40-plus snaps in the first 4 weeks, and then the Broncos are just like, screw that, we're going to get Jamal Charles going and Devontae Booker, but now they're like, oh wait, we should go back to this CJ Anderson guy. It's pretty damn good, right? He's been getting 40-plus snaps yet again over the last 3 weeks, and their production has shown 18 DraftKings points the last week against Indianapolis and 15 against Miami. So, and he has another good matchup here going against Washington. Their run defense is not good at all, one of the worst run defenses in the league. So I think Anderson can get over 100 yards again in this game, maybe be a bit more active in the receiving game, because I don't expect them to be up nearly as much as they were on the Colts in that game. So a big game coming here for CJ Anderson with the snaps finally back in his favor. In the beginning of the year when he was getting those good snaps, he was having some pretty damn good games. He got 33 DraftKings points against Dallas and 15 against Oakland. So another big game here, I think, for CJ Anderson. The return 3 times value, I think he needs around 16 DraftKings points. So I think he can do that definitely in this game, especially if he can eke out a touchdown in this game. So 5,500 for Anderson, a nice little option. For a bonus guy I like is Theo Riddick. His snaps have been a lot more consistent lately. Amir Abdullah kind of kicked out of the offense for the most part, like barely used, and Theo Riddick has taken over, getting some more carries and some more work in the receiving game. And Cincinnati surrendered a lot of receiving work to Jerick McKinnon last week. So Theo Riddick, I think he can get it done also. They are getting Burfict back, it looks like. So that kind of makes me not as high in Theo Riddick, but I definitely like him at that price, considering what he's been doing as of late. So that's another guy to consider. So you got Theo Riddick, CJ Anderson there. Then you got McCaffrey. And for some reason I'm sorting by fantasy points per game. And then you got Alvin Kamara. So those are some great options there at running back. Definitely consider those guys in your lineup. Let's look at wide receiver now. For my first guy, wide receiver, I'm going to go with Miguel Evans, as I like to call him, at 6,400. Going against Carolina here, we're going to see the old Mike Evans of last year with no Deshaun Jackson, no O.J. Howard. Their offense is pretty much back exactly to almost what it was last year without Deshaun and O.J. Howard. They do have Chris Godwin. He's a pretty good wide receiver, so that's someone else I'll get into a little bit later. But Mike Evans, his target should spike back up to around 10+ in this game. They should be working from behind the whole entire game as well, and Carolina has struggled mightily against wide receivers over the last few weeks. So Mike Evans, think he's going to have have a big week here. He's still that big body wide receiver in the end zone as well they can go to. So, and they used that last week against Atlanta, which is a pretty good defense. So Mike Evans had a nice little week. Winston, like I said, seems like he's finally healthy, so that's good for Mike Evans as well. He has a nice little connection with him. So 6,400 without Deshaun and O.J. Howard, definitely a great play there. And for my second guy, we're going to go with Jarvis Landry. This guy just is like a catching phenom, getting a ton of receptions every single week. 10 last week, 8 against the Patriots, 8 against the Patriots again. So he's just getting a ton of work. And this game sets up as another game against Kansas City where he should be getting a lot of work with Devontae Parker already banged up, and their cornerbacks aren't that great on Kansas City. They did get Revis, who actually has been playing pretty well, but I think Jarvis in the slot, I'm not sure who they're going to put on him, but whoever they put on him, I think Jarvis will get the job done. Marcus Peters, who normally stays on one side, so it definitely won't be Peters. Maybe Revis. Revis is too old to cover Landry, though, so at 6,300, Devontae Parker banged up, them working from behind. Think it's going to be another big week for Jarvis Landry. He's going to try to get over that 100 reception mark in this game. That I saw something on Google that he's saying that he's trying to get the most catches out of any wide receiver this year, and Antonio Brown just got hurt, so Jarvis Landry, he's going to come out here and try to have a big week and seal the deal in this spot going against Kansas City, so a great play there. And for my third guy, we're going to go with Mohamed Sanu against New Orleans, a pretty damn good secondary, but they're going to have Lattimore matched up on Julio. Those guys were going at each other last time against New Orleans, and just left with Sanu with an easy task over the middle of the field where he worked himself 6 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown in that game. They looked for him a lot more than they normally do with 8 targets. So a good game there for Sanu. I think another one is coming here. And against Atlanta against New Orleans, I think Atlanta will be working from behind for the most part, but not like that much behind. Probably down like a touchdown or so throughout the whole entire game. So I think Sanu will be that go-to guy in this offense with Lattimore being there. He's a very good cornerback on Julio Jones. So Sanu, another big game here, I think. Over 20 DraftKings points against this New Orleans team. And actually, he's having a pretty solid year quietly. So Sanu is my third guy. And like I said, Chris Godwin, it could be a damn good play at 3,000. A great salary saver going against Carolina. With, like I said, Deshaun out and O.J. Howard, that definitely frees up some targets. In the 1 week that Mike Evans was actually suspended against Detroit, I think he got over 90% of the snaps in that game. So I think he should be getting over 90% of the snaps again, I would assume. So Chris Godwin, 3,000, I mean, he's bare minimum, doesn't really need to do that much to return value. But he is Chris Godwin. Like, you don't know what you're really gonna get out of him, but he has looked pretty good when they've utilized him this year. So think he could be a nice little punt play at 3,000 to save some money to pay up other positions. So that's definitely another guy to consider. And also, someone mentioned to me Keelan Cole. My friend said he's all in on Keelan Cole. So if you want to go him, I'm not gonna fault you for it. I think he's a pretty damn good play. I wasn't gonna recommend him, but Keelan Cole, I mean, this guy's been going off against San Fran, one of the worst secondaries in the league. I don't know. I think Marcus Lee is out. Allen Hurts might be back. If Allen Hurts is back in this game, then I'm not as like hot on Keelan Cole. But if Hurns is out, then Keelan Cole becomes a great play for me. So that's something to look at tomorrow when the inactives come out. They play at 4 o'clock, so that's kind of just difficult. Hopefully we can get some more news with some like midnight tweets from Schefter on that for about Hurns, but that's definitely another guy to consider. So those are some plays at wide receiver. You got Miguel Evans, you got Jarvis Landry, you got Mohamed Sanu, you got Chris Godwin as a nice little salary saver, and also you got Keelan Cole. You can save some money with him as well. So those are some plays at wide receiver. Let's move on to tight end now. So at tight end, it is becoming very weak. It's like guys are just falling like flies at tight end. You got Hunter Henry out for the year at tight end. Not many great options, honestly. But you definitely got some good plays with some cheap guys. And you obviously got the big boys at the top with Gronk and Travis Kelce. The big boy I'm going to go with is going to be Travis Kelce this week at 6,900 going against Miami. They struggle a lot against tight ends. And also that's Xavier Howard guy, this cornerback from Miami, has come on as of late. He looked amazing against Brandon Cooks, which is a similar player to Tyreek Hill. So I think he can do some damage on Tyreek Hill in this game, freeing up some looks for Travis Kelce over the middle of the field. And he's Travis Kelce. He's very consistent, good option in the red zone. Maybe he can get back to that scoring ways in this game. So at 6,900, at home in Kansas City. I think we'll put on a show for the Kansas City faithful here and a great matchup going against Miami. So that's definitely someone to consider at the top. And for some cheaper options, Garrett Selleck, currently questionable, so if he doesn't play, obviously don't go him, but think he's going to play. He got unlimited practices every single game, every single day this week, so he should give it a go here. And going against Jacksonville, they're going to have to throw it to someone. Their cornerbacks are insane with Boye, and then they got friggin' Ramsey, the two studs on the outside. So they got to go with someone. I think Selleck is going to be that go-to guy in this game. It seems like him and Jimmy Garoppolo have a little connection going over the last few weeks. He won 3 for 63 with the touchdown last game and 2 for 67, a 61-yard grab against Houston and a touchdown. So a crazy couple weeks for Garrett Selleck here, and sets up as a pretty good game here for Selleck, I think, at 2,800. He's at 2,800 for a reason. He's not like a crazy good player, but I think someone has to catch the ball, like I'm saying. So I think Selleck is going to be that guy, and Jimmy Garoppolo is a great quarterback. I'm a Patriots fan. Like, he looked great on the Patriots when he was playing, and it looks like he's settling in on San Fran already. So I think he's going to get someone going in this game. I think it's going to be Garrett Selleck here at 2,800. If he doesn't play, then George Kittle will be a nice little option because he'll be on the field a ton, and they're going to have to throw it to their tight end probably. So Garrett Selleck is another great play there. And for my next guy, we're going to go with Antonio Gates, the oldest man in the league maybe, at 2,500 here. They're saying that he's going to be playing like in a committee at tight end, but I guess he's just going to be there like they're in the receiving downs. So that's all it really matters for DFS, right? Like at 2,500, the bare minimum. He's still that kind of go-to guy in the red zone here. So he can still box people out. He's not old enough where he can't just like box someone out in the red zone. And he got a touchdown last week against Kansas City. So 2,500 going against the Jets here. I think he can get a few grabs and maybe even a touchdown. He's 2,500. A nice little punt play so you can save at tight end for other positions like wide receiver, running back, and quarterback. So Antonio Gates is definitely a guy to consider at bare minimum salary. So a great play there, I think. And then we're going to go with Cameron Brate as well. Currently questionable. If he doesn't play, obviously you don't play him. He plays at 1 o'clock, so we'll get some news on him before the game. But without O.J. Howard, the beginning of the year before O.J. Howard started breaking out, Cameron Brate was having some huge games. Like, if you look at this, 13, 18, like, he was consistent as they come. Like, over 10 DraftKings points almost every single game at the beginning of the year. Then O.J. Howard started the break on the scene, taking away from him. So with Cameron Brate back as the #1 tight end by far, think he can get it done. Honestly, he's an underrated tight end. Just happened that they got O.J. Howard to really screw him over. So I think he can have a solid game here. I mentioned that Tampa Bay will be working from behind probably the whole entire game. So I think he can have like a nice 5-catch for a 50-yard game, similar to what he did against Atlanta, and hopefully he can come down with a touchdown as well. So a nice other salary saver there. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to do at tight end. I think you either should be paying out for Kelsey. Gronk is also always a good option, but I think Kelsey's the better play this week. And then you can pay down for either Garrett Selleck, Antonio Gates, or Cameron Brate. It's really up to you, whoever you're feeling the most. So those are some great 3 salary saver options at tight end. And then you got Travis Kelce at the top if you want to pay up there. So those are my tight ends. Let's look at defense now. So looking at defense, the #1 option for me at the top is going to be the Chargers at 3,700. Going against the Jets, they got Bryce Petty at quarterback. That kind of speaks for itself. He's a terrible quarterback, and he actually threw the ball 39 times last week. So that was kind of interesting for me to see that. I think the Chargers can definitely get after Petty in this game. His pocket awareness isn't very good at all. So I think guys like Joey Bosa, they got Melvin Ingram, they can definitely get to them. They have one of the best pass rushes in the whole entire league, and they're going against Bryce Petty. Their offensive line isn't very good against pass rush as well, and they struggled last week against Kansas City, plain and simple. So I think they'll be kind of pissed off about that. They need to win this game to have a chance in the playoffs. So at 3,700, a pissed off Chargers team. I think they bounced back here. That was like one of the worst games of the year. Yeah, it was. So it's 0 points last week. They're definitely going to be pissed off this week. So if you want to pay up at defense, definitely consider the Chargers this week. But I normally don't like to pay up at defense unless I got some great value guys in my lineup. I normally like to go around like 3,000 range. So that's what I'm going to be mentioning next. The Patriots, 3,000. going against the Bills. I mean, they're known for not having a good defense, but they were banged up over the last 2 weeks. They didn't have guys like their middle linebacker, Van Noy. Eric Lee kind of came on for them. He was an outside linebacker that was looking very good. They got Trey Flowers, their best pass rusher, back as well. So they finally can get after the quarterback and do some damage against this Bills offense that doesn't match up against the Patriots well at all. I mean, the Patriots have a solid run defense, so they can stop LaShawn McCoy for the most part. And then their cornerbacks are very good. Gilmore, Butler is pretty solid, Eric Rowe. So they got some guys that can lock down the anemic passing offense of the Bills. They allowed only 267 yards last time, and that was at Buffalo here. So, and they've had some 2 bad games the last 2 weeks against the Steelers and against Miami. So you know that Bill Belichick is chewing them out. I think they're going to put on clinic this game against Buffalo, really limit them on offense. They dropped 13 DraftKings points against them in that game, and they're finally healthy. So I think the Patriots will have another solid game here at 3,000. So I definitely like them. And for my third and final defense, the Detroit Lions here at 2,900 going against Cincinnati. I'm not sure why they're so cheap. I mean, they're one of the highest scoring defenses of this year, so it doesn't really make that much sense to me, and they've been performing pretty well over the last 2 weeks. They've gotten 12 DraftKings points and 13 over the last 2 games. They can definitely get after the quarterback and force some turnovers in this game going against Andy Dalton. The offensive line for Andy Dalton and the Bengals has already been terrible this whole entire year. Now they got 2 guys out for this game. 2 of their offensive linemen got hurt last game, so that's going to free up some more stuff for the Detroit Lions pass rush in the spot here. So at 2,900 and a must-win game for the Detroit Lions. The Bengals aren't playing for anything here, so they're going to be motivated to have a big game here, I think. Get over 10 DraftKings points yet again in this spot, so I like Detroit as my third and final defense. So those are definitely some 2 options there if you're trying to save a bit of money on defense with the Patriots and the Lions there. And then if you want to pay up, you can go with the LA Chargers now. They're at the top at 3,700. So that's all I got for you guys. You got your defenses, your tight ends, your wide receivers, your running backs, and your quarterbacks. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go ahead and drop a like on the video if you did. I greatly appreciate it if you made it to this part of the video. Thank you so much for all the support, guys. Like I said, we'll try to go over 150 likes on this video, and definitely subscribe if you haven't already to get these winning picks every single week. And also follow me on Twitter at MoneyWebby. I tweet out like 1 or 2 lineups every single week for NFL. I tweet out a lineup every single day for NBA, so definitely follow me there at MoneyWebby. And for any updates on some of these plays, like some of these guys are questionable. Adam Schefter will be the bearer of good news or bad news within the next few hours or early tomorrow, so definitely look at my Twitter at MoneyWebby for any updates on that. So I wish you guys the best of luck here. Week 16, it's time to make some money here. Hopefully we can have another good week here. I mean, it's NFL DFS. It's impossible to predict everything. Like, these touchdowns can be kind of fluky, but the best of my ability, I did the research, looked everything over, and this is what I got for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Good luck again this week, week 16. Let's kill it, guys. See you back here next week.